Hello, and welcome to another U.S. Stamp Categories video. Today, I'll give you the rundown on U.S. commemorative stamps. First, what are commemorative stamps? Commemoratives are stamps that pay tribute to significant events, people, and more. They generally cover postage for first-class letters and tend to be larger than definitive stamps. Commemoratives are printed in smaller quantities and are in use for a shorter period of time. They serve as reminders of the events and people who have shaped our country and act as tiny ambassadors of knowledge, encouraging us to learn more about the world around us and our history. When did they start? America's very first commemoratives were issued in 1893. These 16 stamp designs were created to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival in the New World and to commemorate the Chicago World's Fair held that year. Why did they start? The Columbians were a significant departure from other stamps of the time, both in design and purpose. They were larger, more colorful, and intricately detailed, making them stand out as collector's items right from the start. The Columbians publicized the upcoming Columbian Exposition held in Chicago, Illinois. They paved the way for all future commemorative stamps and had a broad cultural and educational impact. How did they start? In the beginning, commemorative stamps were issued to coincide with world fairs and other national exhibitions, or to honor important historical anniversaries. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that we began seeing stamps commemorating topics outside of history. The U.S. started issuing holiday stamps, designs honoring figures from popular culture, and much more. Today, we see a mix of historical and popular culture topics. It makes collecting U.S. commemoratives fun for everyone. Here are some examples of U.S. commemorative stamps. This was the next commemorative series after the 1893 Columbians. They were issued to commemorate the 1898 Trans-Mississippi Exposition and are some of the most scarce and desirable of all U.S. commemoratives. Fun fact, the stamps were supposed to be bicolor, but the Spanish-American War meant the time and manpower needed for two-color printing had to be allocated elsewhere. These are the 1901 Pan Americans. They were issued to coincide with the Pan American Exposition and were the first commemorative and bicolor stamps of the 20th century. They also produced several valuable and highly sought-after invert errors. This is America's very first souvenir sheet. It was issued in 1926 during the Second International Philatelic Exhibition hosted by the United States. The sheet honors the 150th anniversary of the Battle of White Plains and Hamilton's Battery. Only 107,398 were ever printed, making it quite scarce today. These are the 1932 Washington Bicentennial stamps. They were issued to commemorate George Washington's 200th birth anniversary. Interestingly, while they picture portraits of Washington like many older definitive stamps, they are classified as commemoratives. The 12 stamps picture portraits based on the works of several different artists. In 1934, the U.S. Post Office issued 10 stamps commemorating America's national parks. They also raised awareness so more Americans would want to spend time in these protected places. The designs later became part of one of the most infamous stamp stories in our nation's history, the Farley's Follies. The 1943-44 Overrun Countries stamps honor countries who were overrun by the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, during World War II. They picture the flag of each nation as well as a phoenix representing eternal rebirth and a woman breaking the bonds of oppression. The 1964 5-cent Christmas stamps marked the first time more than one stamp design was printed on a sheet, creating the United States' first say-tenant. This stamp was issued in 1972 to commemorate the world's greatest hobby, stamp collecting. It was created after numerous requests for collectors to have a stamp of their own. The design pictures U.S. number 1 under a magnifying glass. In 1976, the U.S. celebrated its bicentennial with several new stamps. But this sheet of state flag stamps was extra special because it was the very first time a pane of 50 face-different stamps had ever been issued. They are arranged on the sheet in the order the states were admitted to the Union. This 1993 Elvis stamp was the best-selling U.S. commemorative in history. The design was voted on by the public in a contest bringing in over 1 million votes. Fans had to choose between young Elvis and older Elvis, with young Elvis winning by an overwhelming majority. This other famous issue from 1993 became the center of one of the biggest philatelic controversies ever when it pictured the wrong Pickett brother, Ben instead of Bill. The Legends of the West stamps were recalled and reprinted, but 183 error sheets had already been sold. The USPS originally wasn't going to release the remaining errors to the public, leading to intense backlash from the philatelic community. Mystic even got involved by suing the USPS. In the end, they relented and sold 150,000 error sheets in a mail-order lottery with a limit of one per person. They remain scarce and desirable today. These Celebrate the Century sheets were one of the most ambitious commemorative stamp sets in U.S. history up to that time. The designs were voted on by the public and released from 1998 to 2000 and included 150 stamps in all. To commemorate the opening of the William H. Gross Stamp Gallery in 2013, the USPS issued this reprint of the famous inverted Jenny. The souvenir sheet was printed using plates created from the original 1918 dies, with the denomination changed to $2. The USPS also secretly created 100 upright Jenny sheets, which broke their strict policy of not deliberately creating philatelic rarities. The sheets were randomly distributed to post offices across the country, and as of 2024, only about half had been found. They remain extremely rare and desirable today. In 2017, the USPS issued the first stamp with heat-sensitive ink. The center of the total solar eclipse stamp appears black at first, but when warmed, reveals the moon. Once it cools down, the black ink returns. It was the most popular stamp of 2017. Another philatelic first came in 2018 with the Art of Magic souvenir sheet. It was a surprise issue and the first U.S. stamp with lenticular printing. This printing method makes the rabbit appear to pop out of the hat when the stamp is tilted back and forth. There's one more thing to mention before we wrap up U.S. commemorative stamps. Did you know some commemoratives are also airmail stamps? The first one was the 1927 Lindbergh stamp and commemorated the very first solo flight across the Atlantic. Or the 1969 moon landing airmail stamp commemorating the Apollo 11 mission and mankind's first steps on the moon. That's all for now. Let us know what your favorite U.S. commemorative is in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to be alerted anytime we post a new video. See you next time, and as always, happy collecting!